In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced. Hello, my dear species. I find you again another day, another moment. Tonight, two unique views have arose to me, and I don't know how to explain it to you. But after years of giving these talks, if I was to kind of tell you like how it's working, is that it's kind of like I'm seeing something from the distance. Imagine like I'm on a ship and I'm seeing like light on like some island in the distance, right? And I notice the light, I catch the view, and then I start walking towards it, sailing towards that view to truly see what was from a distance just an idea. How is it in my inner experience of that? Okay. There are two views. That means in my inner realms, I've seen two angles, two unique views are guiding me here. One is that for this lecture, for this moment, I will attempt to explain to the best of my ability and through whatever authorizations God given about the path of the original one. Okay, so this is me talking about what is the path of an original being, original one. What do I mean by that? So there's that view. That's like to me, it's like that's one path of the lecture. The other path of the lecture is an observation that was so crucial because when I usually come to give these uh, talks, these, I guess, broadcasts to the species, I am someone who my inner realms move very fast. I've noticed. I've noticed. I thought it was like others are the same, but it's not something that was from birth like this. It was in some sense. I rather than me being anybody, I feel the only not the only, but the value of me sharing and you listening right now is the fact that I have managed to view reality in a way that is so uncommonly repositioned. So I am, how do I explain it? That, okay, this is going to sound super hilarious. This is the most ridiculous way I've explained something, but I don't have children yet. But if I did, and I was like, or if I was like raising um, an army of the most advanced human beings on earth, see, I would teach the world differently to you than I was taught, because the way I was taught was in some sense a reactive knowledge. That means it was knowledge that was reacting to the momentary values rather than a knowledge soaking in the wisdom of its furthest vision. Okay, basking in the vision of its furthest, basking in the awareness of its furthest vision. You get the point. So I'm like a speedster behind my eyes, and that's I've went with that momentum into the future. But there was something about the subtitle I've written for you. The inner realms allowed the species to survive by keeping reality unchanged. This is a very beautiful sentence. Now, you're listening to someone who I'm going to introduce you to a way of looking at things because I was this kid, this very young kid who had a grandmother. Okay. I have a twin brother too. When we were very young, anytime our grandmother like had made dinner, right? She would say, "Come and eat this food. It's beautiful." She wouldn't say, "Come and eat this food. It tastes good." come and eat this food. It's like cooked well. She would say, come and eat this food. This food is beautiful. And I was privileged to be in the presence of a being that saw not a conditional beauty. And so, in my own way, my grandma saw food as beautiful, this traditional, like, you know, Muslim, from the outskirts of Iran grandmother. Do you know what I mean? Not outskirts, but I mean like urban, village areas, And it was fascinating, to me because I have the same attitude, but not with food. I have the same attitude with language. To me, I'm a designer who learned to speak. That's what it took me a while to realize. The deep core way my energy in this realm is working is that it is not fighting with the design of existence. It is wondering why it is existing in the design of existence. You know? So to me, sentences are beautiful, okay? And they are beautiful because it's like opening a hidden door. Right. So when I see like this sentence I've written for you, the inner realms allowed the species to survive by keeping reality unchanged. Okay. It means what was it about the development of the intelligence of our species that managed to, in some sense, shift how the experience of reality was? You see, we are not aliens, okay, but we are behaving not like as if we're just from Earth. We have too much of a fondness for the stars. It's as if eyes evolved to see what else there was. And I don't know how to say this, but sometimes you exist to see what else of your existence is there. And this is a message to anybody thinking of using the bridge the wrong way or devaluing yourself or allowing others to set your value. Nobody knows. Okay? Nobody knows. And anybody, it's so easy, like a whack-a-mole in a carnival, you can judge a person's past. But I'm telling you, you will. This is my view. That means like I haven't, for now at least, been blessed with people like myself around me. Um, but I am blessed to exist in a historic moment, and to, in some sense, be able to explain that the atheist, the scientifically inspired atheist, goes to the religious theist, you know, and says, in some sense, yo, man, you considering an all powerful being controlling all of reality as if this is its own, this was its place before we got here, you know? What I'm trying to say, what they didn't teach you because they didn't know how to, is that you're not just a non fictional being, you're a fictional being. There's a fictional aspect to you. And it's the more dynamic it is, the more reality is not in a fixed position. How can I explain that when you look at the evolution of human consciousness on Earth, you are looking at the relationship of an element inside a system becoming a system of its own. What we are witnessing that has happened on Earth is that we have understood that realities are divided. And the veils are not just spiritual, right? You might be some new age guy and you're like, I don't know, bro, spirituality. Like, what dimension are you talking about? What veils of like supernaturality should we pierce? What curtains should we pull? You know? And it's as if, like, at some point, I don't know how to explain it to you. There's legit two modes reality happens. Okay. You're giving it meaning to its motion, okay, or it in some sense moves in a way where the meaning you give to it is not just, it's, you're not limited to your own meaning. To me, the difference between an intelligent being and a non-intelligent one is awareness to position. That means, and this is a bit surreal because in our minds, we're not raised as a non fictional, laws of nature kind of behaving entity. The mind is the ability to perceive abstraction of reality. And I'm using the word abstraction like an abstract extension. Like I don't know how to explain to you. You can be seen as an extension of a physical being. You can be seen as an extension of a non-physical state, and both are valid. Pretty much every moment of our lives, a decision is the suggestion of the framework we are choosing to move as. So I'm going to start talking about the subtitle here, the inner realms. I actually started off with that in typing the title. But see, guys, this is the idea. If I can explain to you, I've done the lectures complete for part of the lecture. So think of it this way, that it took us billions of years to be able to drink a cup of cappuccino, to sip our cappuccino. Think of it this way: our ancestors survived not because they were stronger, not because they were faster, simply because they were aware of the environment in a different way. Okay. Now, science explains this as the development of the prefrontal cortex, right? But I feel it's a deeper game. Like science doesn't understand how deep the game it's playing is. It's very difficult to kind of convert an unknown verb of a manifestation into a single known noun. Do you know? This is why Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is to know you know nothing." Right, and this is why, as a religious, so you're listening to someone who believes this world has a system admin. I'm a Muslim, and I believe the system admin is not in the world. That means like any being, like a shimmering light being, could appear in front of me and help me out in all the things I got to do, right? And at the end, I'm like, "Who are you, shimmering light being that I can't even see, your face?" And the shimmering light being, in some sense, just made of pure light, tells me I'm God, and I'll be like, "No, you're not. You are God sent." That's different. Like I don't know. There may be, because when I'm giving these talks, I have access to 1 in 8 billion interpretation. Okay. And you might not realize, but every person that listens to my lectures, you're listening to a lecture that I have never heard. And it's not the same lecture I said, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating when vision unites and the responsibility. I mean, think about humans right now. What's happening? If you were to look at the behavior of all human beings on Earth, you'll be like, wait a minute, man, it's just responsibility levels. That's it. The good person, bad person, the successful person, the failed person, it's just responsibility levels, right? You start off as a kid, you're irresponsible of everything. You enter a guided system, your parents are responsible, right? At some point, you realize that you are a pilot in this realm, not just a passenger. Do you know? And your eyes become a new beacon. But like, how do I say, your heart becomes a beacon for your eyes. Any person who gets to that point, by the way, that's equivalent to, like the yogis would say, nirvikalpa samadhi. Any being that notices their heart. I am telling you, your heart is light years ahead of your mind's wisdom. You know, somebody listening to their heart, you are a way more advanced being. A grandmother that doesn't know quantum physics, but feels like she shows kindness to her grandchildren, fulfills that role. You know, that to me is like such an advanced being compared to just being like, okay, guys, is this a film set? Is this culture, society a film set? Where's my is my house like my private trailer? Do you know? And I'm as an actor, you know, in my trailer, I'm like, oh gosh, I can be myself. Outside the trailer, I'm this character. Everybody's smiling when they sing. You know, on some level, you understand that reality is neither imperfect or perfect, and that makes you wonder where you are. The responsibility levels are so key because, again, the child is not, a 5-year-old child is not responsible of their experience in existence. They're not even responsible for their existence. You understand? So pretty much the game of life is you become responsible for your existence and then you become responsible for your experience. Then you enter that great game that all the adults are playing, that they are actually realizing it is a confrontation with the unknown aspects of life, not just what we know. And that's the beautiful thing about life. You know, there's been moments I was like, man, you're a coward. You know, there's moments where I've been like, man, you were a champion in that moment. And then I realized, how can I identify with moments that pass? The moment passes, yo. You know, like, do we all understand this? You know, that we are not one state of mind all the time forever. You know, that is an error. You know, I hope Brian Johnson is listening. Brian Johnson. The point is not to become immortal. The point is to comprehend the true nature of reality. When I say responsibility levels, just look at it, guys. You tell me if this framework doesn't work. Look at just for a second, try to fathom as if like you were flying in the sky and you were looking at like your whole life, you know, from above. And you would see from that externalized view of your own reality, external reality, it's like if you could see from outside of your outside, you would comprehend the nature of how you're being an internal being differently. Okay, but anyways, what I'm saying is it's responsibility levels and it's so simple: past, present, future. 3 categories. And when you look at each human being, the hedonist doesn't is irresponsible of the future. Do you understand? The disciplined person is responsible of the future. You know, and we're all responsible for handling our path, aka, excuse me, handling our past, aka mental health, you know, and also being responsible for our past and being responsible for our present. And the importance of the presence is that you as a being might require to re-inform yourself. Like, can you look at life and be like, man, Mr. Within has a point when he says everything, information is in formation. It's in a formation. Everything has a shape, and the edges of those shapes suggest the container. Even you, as a biological being, have an edge to your shape. And I'm not talking about just from an organic dimension. Because let me tell you, there are many dehumanized states of mind that the many human beings have accessed, and what you think is creativity is actually world finding. But it depends. If you find that if you like if that some there's moments where my mind has been a coward, but my heart has scolded my mind. You know. But the whole point of it is, what's the most advanced thing that can happen in a changing world? The subtitle, and our ancestors experienced this. I want you to imagine you're a creature, or sorry, I want you to imagine this is a sci fi setting in the future, and we have an ability to look through the eyes of a squirrel, not a GoPro camera, legit look at through the consciousness of a squirrel, okay, or a cat. Let's say a squirrel, okay? And so we would see this squirrel wake up every day, engage its environment, go smell things, interact with its environment, choose a behavioral pattern, and then return back to its original state and sleep. Look at the world you're in. Religion is not wrong, guys. The geometry is so advanced that it just perhaps we needed to just look at it differently. Okay, many of your problems in your life, you have to, in some sense, attack it. You got to look at the problem from so many different views, and what you're going to realize is that many of the things you think are problems from different views are not. They're positions. You know, for me, there's a lecture I want everybody I gave, I think a few days ago or something. It was about the most advanced general of humanity. And there was such an incredible point in it. I learned something from my own lecture, from the research component of my own lecture. And it was that if I am truly, this is the test of my life, it's in the presence of the system admin as well. That if the system admin, that means if everybody is watching, and I'm this guy saying advance humanity. Now, this is the thing I realized. This is how I updated myself. Why have I just been selectively choosing to see certain things as advanced? That means I go back to that moment where I just in my mind feel like I'm just sight hopping through all the different first person point of view perspectives in my life of meeting different people, and then asking myself, what version of them did I speak to? That's so profound. It's not just like how you hear someone, it's who you are being that is here. That's important. You know, I realized this whole time I should have been speaking to everybody's advanced self. I've been speaking to them out of politeness and respect. Out of politeness and respect, I've been treating you based on your own actions. And then it occurred to me, okay, we want to live in an advanced civilization. The most sincere way is that, okay, right now, what kind of advanced civilization do I have access to? I have access to advanced civilizations in my inner realms. Okay, what do I find in my inner realms that is a superior value to the outer realms? For example, sky cities to me, oh my god, like I think you're gonna see me if I live live long enough to be like a senior citizen. You know, you're gonna see me just at the end of my days, just endlessly talk about sky cities. But we don't know how long we're here. We don't know how long the system admin needs us. My ego had a grip on death, which meant that I had a fear of death. Okay. Then in last year, I was in a car accident, and long story short, God protected me. I was walking past. the street and a car, a green BMW. It was so strange, right? In an empty, like the street was empty, right? And I made the error of being also not alert, you know. And the guy wasn't alert, and two people on their phones, and it was the issue was he was in a car, I was just in my body, you know. And so the car hits me, and I was lucky that from the other lane there wasn't a car coming. I fall on the ground. Long story short, we go to the hospital, and I'm like, "Is it broken? Can I still like?" Think? And the lady says nothing's broken, and I'm shocked. Even though there's blood, you don't understand. Like there was, I was bruised up and everything. It was crazy, right? One of the most craziest moments of my life. I felt at the time, the moment it was happening, I was just apologizing. Anytime I've witnessed chaos, like attack, in the inner realms, it's different. In the inner realms, I have a different light. In the outer realms, I am positioned where I am positioned. And so I realized if you don't understand, I went home that night and for like, it happened, I think, for a week or maybe 2 weeks, I would jolt from the bed. So imagine I'm in the bed, right? And I see the car not stopping in my mind and I jolt, right? This would happen so many times. A while after, I was like, if I was just two steps or maybe just one more step, right? If I had stepped one more step further, I would have been ran over by this car. The car didn't stop. You understand? And after that, you don't understand, I went into a depression. I went into a depression of being like, okay, so it doesn't matter what I think of my life, the system admin still wants me here. There is still something that I still need to do. You know, to me, to some people, yeah, you could fear death, or you could think that death is like you did all the actions in that lifetime. You understand? Because there, like, how do I say it? Anyways, where I was going with this is simply that I realized if I truly deep down believe in an advanced civilization, because you don't understand. I like this shy introverted kid started talking too much, you know, but it was too little still. And I don't know how to explain to you that I have in my head for around a decade, okay, every day woken up and tried to process, not solve a physical, quantum physical, or some theoretical physical equation, you know, but in some sense, what is the point of the game I'm in? To me, more important than anything that can happen in the outer realms is to truly comprehend oneself. That was important. That true comprehension may require, like, how do I explain it? It's like there's a scale to it. It's like my personality is shy, introverted, might want to just kind of live a simple, comfortable, looping life, you know, go sit in the same place in the same coffee shop. You know what I mean? Like a part of me can totally resonate with that, right? But then a part of me is like, wait a minute, the math, the calculation of what is going on in existence doesn't make sense. That means to me, I realized that everybody is living for their future self. Discipline is being responsible for your future. Think of it this way: this game of the human is past, present, future. So you got to be responsible for your past, responsible for your present, the future is left. So when you're responsible for your present, that's a sort of acceptance of what you are up to there. Do you understand? That means if you're someone who a part of you, and acceptance is key because if you don't accept things sometimes, you can't access the next layer of it. I don't know how to say the next level of it, right? You got to accept the level one to see the level two of it, sometimes. Anyways, I realized the greatest argument. I will be saying this till the day I die. I don't care if people hear it or not, but I am speaking the presence of not just a man made state. I am also speaking in the presence of the divine surveillance state. Okay? There is a divine surveillance state. What do you think is moving in an organized way? I am telling you that we're playing a game that we are a way more advanced player in than humanity currently understands. That means, like, imagine all the people before human beings could communicate and have dialogue, right? And then suddenly we're like, man, everybody could have spoken this whole time. They just weren't raised. Or imagine if you don't learn to read, like how much access to reprocessed information that you know. It's very important to realize, or at least this is what I realize, that if the greatest argument in front of our eyes in the for the human world is to advance, if we are looking every day and seeing every person who's alive trying to advance their life, then it's very obvious everybody is living for their future self and they want their future self to be more advanced than who they are now. Even though biologically it's a bit of a bell curve, it's like first you weren't born yet, then you were born as a child, very weak, and you need others to be responsible for you. And then as you get older, and then you go down the bell curve, you become a senior citizen. You're going back to a sort of simplicity in the outer realm. So our experience as human beings in the outer realms is simple, complex, 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 and then simple, 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 simpler, simpler, simple, simpler, simple versions. So the way it is, it's proving us that the world is showing us how it works. From everything expresses from an original state, and over time returns to that original state. That means we're the scientists who said that, you know, there's a sort of entropy or something, or it's like it came from nothing, it returns to nothing. The other way of it is it came from nothing, came from everything. How do you know nothing and emptiness and death is not the simulation? To me, they said that this world is a simulation and death is a part of this world. Who says death is the final fear of man who hasn't seen outside of the box of his own beliefs? So, in the same way, like think of it this way: when I decided to give 10,000 talks, probably maybe the first person in human history who consciously decided that. I don't know. There's so many. I checked the other day. There's been 117 billion people ever. Okay, and that's an estimate from 300,000 years ago. Okay, up for like starting from 300,000 years ago. And right now, there's 8.1 billion people alive on the planet, which means 7% of all human beings that have ever existed are alive right now. You are right now legit one in 117 billion humans that have ever existed. You are like, you understand, right? I'm telling you guys, they're cheating us. They're conditioning you by making you pay attention to the minutes rather than the seconds. It's like a being that lives by the second is very different than a being that lives by the minute, and a being that lives by the hour, and a being that lives by a year, and a being that lives by, I don't know, a million years. It's like, it's all about being responsible for reality. Past and present are easy because they're observable. The future is very difficult to be responsible for because you don't know how else the world is going to go. I might be somebody who just goes and says, I don't believe in love. And then they're like, man, the guy fell in love. You know? But I'm telling you, to me, it's not about love, but like love to me is a return to the original because that is my understanding. You might not believe this, but existence is a performance. It's performance for an audience. Imagine like a coliseum with 7 levels, okay? And there's a central circle. And that central circle is like where we are now. Yeah. Anyways, so I decided to give 10,000 talks. Because I had to give 10,000 talks in my lifetime, I was like, all right, then at one talk, I should be able to give a talk every time I have the idea. So it made everything easier. It made giving the talks easier. Like, you got to do a ridiculous amount of, you know. So, in the same way, because I've understood that everybody is living for their most advanced self, they're trying to be a more advanced version of themselves. It means you're living for an advanced life. An advanced life means everything in that life can be advanced. Civilization can be advanced. So, it means that you don't understand it, just like how every human being before us that had existed, which was 1.829 billion people or so, 108.9 billion people before us. But anyways, where I'm going with this is I have decided that because I am in this world once in this fashion, my heart has decided this. My soul, like it's so core of my being, what I'm sharing. Because we need to advance civilization, because we want to be in the most advanced civilization, we must begin seeing the most advanced self. And you'll realize there is no time to be depressed. There is no time to be in an emotional paralysis when reality is marching to forward and micro interpretations of macro events don't do justice. So it's like envisioning that because we want civilized, because it's like envisioning the most advanced state. So how do I say it? It should be easy to be an advanced. That means my strategy is behind my eyes. I am envisioning such an advanced meaning to all of this that because the expectation is so advanced, we are instantaneously basically advanced. So start living with the fascination of what you would your most advanced self do in the most advanced world, in the presence of the most advanced power. Where am I going with this? In the same way you are asleep and you wake up and you go back to sleep, in the same way you weren't born, your body exists and then your body returns, goes back to the world it came from. You know, in the same way, for the soul, it is the same in the sense that this whole world, which in it, in every moment, shows the pattern of the whole system, but is not the whole system. Guys, I'm going to see if I can. No, actually, it's going to delay the lecture. Let's see if we can find another song. All right, these songs are not doing it for me. We are going to go back to my playlist on my laptop. Okay, guys. Sorry for drifting a little. Pretty much, the thing I'm trying to communicate is that I've come to understand that behind our eyes we can access advanced views of life and different ways and probabilities of life. There is an abstract freedom behind our eyes that deviates from reality. The human being, by identifying as a name and a person and a character in a story, has in some sense established himself as a subjective self in a subjective position. And right now, the idea of you is you as a, rather than being an unknown moment of awareness, you're more convinced that you are an idea, and the idea of you is not the whole moment, is a part of the moment, and you can have multiple ideas even. So how can you be multiple ideas at the same time? Then you were never an idea. You are the awareness, you are the presence, you are the moment where it's happening. And in some sense, the secrets the secrets of your true nature, they are as secret as you choose to position and divide the world. I have no clue how you experience the world, whoever you are listening. But I know that all will discover the unknown. They will realize the limitations of the human position. And the whole point I was trying to make at the beginning in regards to the inner realms allowed the species to survive by keeping reality unchanged. It means there was a time that identifying as a subject made us superior over the natural world, but now that we have we are victorious over the natural world, how much is there a need to still be an ideological entity? Do you know that means how have we defined the presence of a moment of being? It was our ability to communicate as a species, to have common values, to tell a story that could unite all of us towards the same action. So one human being could not defeat a mammoth, but a tribe could. The tribe was organized by human beings being able to, in their minds at that time, keeping a moment of reality unchanged. That means it's as if like you change your environment in the space-time continuum, but you still have the same value behind your eyes for what it means to be, for example, a part of the tribe back then. Do you know that means it was we survived because we stepped out of our loneliness, our existential loneliness, right? And we began seeing the same things. This is why they say relationships don't work unless they have the same values. For example, if somebody values the past more than the future, to me, I can't be with, like, I can't be around that person. For me, the future is sacred. It's very sacred. you know you might see the ego even as like, man, is the ego like going against me or something, and then you will realize the moment is divine, for you don't even know what you're in the presence of. Intelligence can move in so many different ways. There's different dehumanized sectors. do you know that means I'll give you an example of a dehumanized sector of the human mind of our species. For example, Plato's world of forms. That means you could look at this world as pure geometry before giving meaning to the geometry, to the shapes, and you could be like, man, this isn't human. I'm just an awareness to shape as a shape. But what it means to be human is a specific role, a specific state. You don't understand the value. It's like they asked the person, what are you grateful for? And the person was, I am grateful to exist at all, to be to be something where we still don't know truly what we are. This is the heartbreaking but also sorry, the mind breaking but heart uh, enlightening truth, that nobody knows where we are. We're playing it's a massive storytelling operation. And it was a storytelling operation that was necessary. But I'm telling you that language, we use now language to dehumanize, but I'm telling you what you are. That means the vastness, the full scope of your intelligence surpasses the human idea. So it's your choice if you want to live your whole life obsessed with the idea of yourself, or if you want to, in some sense, wonder about how the moment happens beyond your will. That's why the free will is exciting. It's like the free will's like, man, if I could do anything, what would the point of doing anything be? It's the conditions that are making life be a conditional journey that we got to live for, work for, do something for. And for me, it's very strange. A part of me is like, okay, man, I'm this energy in this world, right? And then what is the purpose of this energy? What is this energy here to do? Do you understand? Right? And I realized that, oh man, we accept it as unknowable, or we accept it as just play. That means meaning is subjective to the degree that there's no meaning to an objectively endlessly interpretable, as a subject place. What I'm saying is that it's like it's very difficult to kind of give these things value, but I've simplified it that in front of your eyes is your outer realms, a physical public server in this existential simulated system that you're in, right? And the body is simulated. Like everybody knows this, do you know? But the way consciousness feels about existence is not temporary. It's strange. There's a part of me that feels like, how can the attributeless awareness of being die? It can't. It's returns. There is like death is the wrong interpretation. Original original simulation, it returns. And is divinity even a divine sine wave? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it constantly manifesting, conditional, unconditional, conditional, unconditional, like the peaks and troughs of the fabric of how existence's texture is rendered by an unknown experiencer? More than I feel I'm a human, I feel I am an experiencer of the human. I feel that my eyes, awareness activated, do you know? Like the awareness in the space activated, and what was found in that awareness could have become an identity, and it's your choice. It's your choice if you want to your whole life live as an idea and live as one thought, or if you want to realize that it's a field of intelligence, that the inner realms behaves differently than the outer realms. In front of my eyes in the outer realms, we don't have flying cars, like I can't go sit in a park, like lie down on the grass of a park, right, look in the sky and see squares of like traffic lines in the air, of like cars passing. It's like today we're changing lanes on the highway, tomorrow we're changing elevations in the skyway. Man, anytime I hear violin, it's like my heart tries to find cracks in itself. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Oh my god, how long has it been? 55 minutes. Okay, that isn't too bad. Where I'm going with this is we survived because we worked together. We worked together because we could keep certain values of reality unchanged behind our eyes in our inner realms. You have this whole time been living an inner life and an outer life. Everybody, I don't know if it's fear, conditioning, obliviousness, ignorance, I don't know what it is, but I know that there's a version of you that nobody has ever seen, and you have been from the beginning of your life. I know that behind your eyes, you're not just human to yourself. You are an awareness to forms and formats and conditions, all the different ways you've looked at it. Do you know? That means, is the awareness of 1 plus 1 equals 2 human? I would say no. Mathematics to me is not human. Geometry to me is not human. The human has a certain geometry, but it's a multi-leveled being to the degree that your body is simulated for some time, your wakeful consciousness state is simulated for some time, the things and the words and you communicate are simulated for some time, the events that happen in the inner realms, are simulated sometimes. Who you're really seeing, like what I'm really doing, guys, is I in my inner realms, like think of it just like imagine like a bird flies by, okay, in front of my eyes, like a bird flies by and my attention goes to it. I'm telling you, it's the same behind my eyes. I can close my eyes and my inner realms is still there. But the inner realms is very different. The inner realms is like a system administrative privilege where we can feel a little like as a creator. That means behind my eyes, I'm a being that by my how my attention moves suggests my format, but be in front of my eyes, my format is suggesting my attention. Do you understand? And I've been seeing legit events in my inner realms, and I've managed to speak about them. So rather than you hearing somebody like giving a lecture, you're hearing somebody who's seeing something behind his eyes and vocalizing it, right? And sometimes when I suddenly, if the image goes away too soon, I suddenly it's like I'm in a different room. I don't know how to explain it. So understand that human connection, humans working together, humans caring for advanced conditions, it was in it, like that's legit how we survived. We survived because we grouped. Do you understand? And other animals didn't have the intelligence to group in the way we did. They had a grouping intelligence, of course, but it was more their environment was telling them what they could be. You right now are a being that you can fathom different modalities to the environment. So you got to understand it. I don't care what story they've told you about your intelligence or who you've been this whole time, but the honest truth is nobody knows. You're a DNA. You have a DNA that nobody has. You are existing in a moment in the space-time continuum. Nobody else is existing. You've seen a sort of, you have a memory trail, a sort of journey you've lived in this life that has conditioned you to a sort of unique inner character to your own being. It's not about just how you feel about yourself. Let me tell you something that I've learned recently. Do you know? And you'll be like, man, this guy's learning so much. But what I'm telling you is what I've learned recently is that to be responsible for fear, it's like to decide through the heart is so far superior. And I don't know how to explain to you that life is kind of like something is happening to you and you're happening to something, but you don't know how you're happening. You just know how life is happening to you. Like that's the starting point. So we have to like if humanity's obsessed with telling itself a story, it better be the most advanced story. You better be living, like every person, every employee of any business right now on the planet should go to their boss and be like, hey boss, have you heard this concept of an advanced civilization? Could we align our company to the most advanced values of humanity? And they'll be like, I don't know, man. We're in an era where profit is the most important thing, you know, and it's in that moment where if profit, if expansion in one dimension rather than all dimensions is more important to you, then you might not understand. You are evading yourself. To me, I think a lot of mental illness on this planet is based on an inability to discriminate between what is an inner event and what is an outer event. And inner events can give you value. When you see like people being interviewed on like podcasts or something, they're asked a question and you see legit behind their eyes, it's like in that unique world they're standing. They're like, what does this geometry communicated from this other person mean to me in my universe? But I'm telling you, beyond my universe, your universe, their universe, everybody's different universe, we are present in a moment powered by the same power. Do you understand? That means technically everything in existence is my energetic sibling. Do you understand? I'm telling you, it's all about what you are valuing out of what you are even aware of, and if you even notice your awareness, there are hidden skies to your own mind. Somebody in the chat section says, "Look up the bicameral mind. 3,000 years ago, our brains used to work differently, and people would hear the voice of God." I think more than I. I mean, like Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, all the prophets had a direct relationship with the system admin, or sorry, direct, like, to some degree. That means reality treated them. See, when the system treats you differently, everybody's thinking about how life is treating them. But if you for a moment just wonder about, not it's not life, it's how is the whole system treating me, I think you'll get closer into realizing that the human cognition at the edge of imagination is the divine cognitive fields. So if your imagination is your ability to have an access to, like an antenna to an inner realm, and see stuff in that inner realm and share it in the outer realms, and you think that's what imagination is, at the edge of that imagination is the divine cognitive fields. And the divine cognitive fields means that human intellect is considering itself as slightly inferior to matter. Do you understand? And that's why it can believe it's material. Do you understand? But I'm telling you, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain this, but I'm trying to say that life has become way more. Its meaning beyond me has become way more accessible when I treat the moment as rooms. And I'm telling you, how our ancestors survived by grouping and defeating mammoths, you know, and inevitably getting rid of all the giant creatures on the planet, you know what I mean, without realizing. That means humans were hunting faster than animals were repopulating. So the animals, many species went extinct because of ignorance. I think it is a beautiful privilege to be able to be in a world, and you've opened your eyes and you're like, okay, I'm accessing a reality right now. What do I know about this reality, and what don't I know? And instead of fearing what you don't know, you're conditioned in a civilization. Okay, they're training everybody to, in some sense, feel that talking about the unknown, or saying I don't know, or actually not knowing, is embarrassing or wrong. That's how you know it's not an advanced civilization. It doesn't honor its own unknown variables, elements in its unknownness. That means there's a way I look at myself right now, and I'm like, okay, I can know myself like this. And then I could be like, hey, wait a minute, though, that's just one view out of all the different views I can have on myself. So technically, I don't know myself. I'm being an unknown state of being that has this much access to knowing or trying to figure out what it's representing. It's as if, like, wondering about what is my soul doing here. It's like, what is my being representing by being here? What archetypes does the system and admin honor me with or dishonor me with? Because you don't know, one of God's great, in Islam, God has 99 names. One of God's names is the humiliator. That means God can instantly reduce someone's value or change that existence because it's an absolute being. The original state of all reality is the state of an absolute being. I think I couldn't have said that sentence any better. No, 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 man. I think the date is wrong. I think the date is wrong. These are further back, you know? But I mean, they say Buddhism is the last chapter of yoga. Okay, let's check this out. No, no, you're right. 3,000 years ago. The Rig Veda. Why was I under the impression the yogis were 10,000 years old? So, guys, Google is so smart. They've legit made themselves like ChatGPT. So, okay, so writing, the most ancient writing was roughly 5,400 years ago. So 5,400 years ago was the earliest writing they figured out. But wait, what about that cave in France? I mean, yeah, so the Maltrivieso cave, I butchered that. Mal Maltravieso cave. Over 64,000 years old. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm not that off. So, guys, the earliest human artwork, art is more, writing is an extension of art, really. That's just aligned to reality more. Okay, anyways, it says over 64,000 years ago, humans put their hands on caves and just, I don't know, put some sort of color powder and they made art. They put their handprints. And their wrists were so small, guys. Sorry, it's not in France. It's in Spain. What the guys? It's in Spain. Sorry, I don't know why I was under the impression it was in France. Maybe it was a part of Spain that France conquered. No, I'm joking. Okay. Anyways, back to it. So, anyways, guys, where am I going with this? I'm trying to say that the inner realms are important. And just like how I was giving a lecture on self sabotage, how I experience self sabotage, I'm telling you that there are so each of your memories, within each of your memories, there is a you that had a feeling at that time. So you don't just have a memory of the outer realms, you have a memory of the inner realms. I've noticed this because there's talks that I give, right? And sorry, sometimes I listen to my own talks from like a while back, right? And just to see conceptually what was I saying in it. And how do I explain? Just like a person can identify with the emotions of their past self subconsciously and sabotage like something they're doing now, which is the idea of self sabotage. It's like it's the emotions of the earlier you overriding who you are now, right? And it's like the inner, how we were living as ideas, as characters in a story in our inner realms. I'm telling you, we've reached that point where it's obviously the past time. We've been lingering in these structures and these modalities of human function for too long. Right now, the species is being urged to look at the vastness of an edgeless sky and to wonder about how truly advanced the human species can be. For that is really that is our greatest performance. From the moment we're born, we're performing in front of our own awareness, and whatever there is, that is the true reality of reality. Do you understand? You're performing even theologically. God commanded man into existence, imbued him with his essence, and then commanded man to say the divine names, which commanded man to perform in front of all manifestation. And when man said all the divine names, which means his awareness to all sectors of being, do you know? And all manifestation was commanded to bow to how great God was, that he had created such a creature that could perform in such a way. So God, I'm sorry to say this, but theologically, God showed us off to manifestation, said, look at my creation, right? And we performed. We performed as the soul performed before it made a mistake, where there was the divine error, you know, or the destined error. So from the moment you are born, you are performing in manifestation, and you are as depressed or as grateful based on what you choose, that what you truly notice you're performing in the presence of. That means the value of being a human being, a member of the human species, a 300,000-year old so far considered initiative, intelligent initiative. You can choose to go, hide in a cave of luxury and looping comfort, or you can, in some sense, like the greatness of the world always knew, like how the greatness of the world always knew, advance towards the most advanced. That is the game. The most advanced is an unconditional state. We are here as conditional entities to learn, to notice the unconditional administration in this simulated testing zone. Within a divine surveillance state. You know what the difference between an angel and a human is? An angel cannot doubt the divine will. We doubt, but in our doubt, we have greater access. That means we are very privileged, very blessed as beings, as manifest beings in what appears to us as an endless void, unknowable void, to be in the presence of an administrator that cares. It's like, I don't know if there's anything more divine than caring for the true value of life. There was the sentence that they said, the unexamined life is not worth living, or, you know, don't just exist, live. What does that living mean? It means I've understood higher intelligent interaction levels. It means that the advanced option this whole time, you just had to decide and you were waiting for the permission from outside of you. But this is a podcast. I am telling you that what will happen in this world of ours will be so advanced that it is your choice not to see how advanced it all is, how advanced the higher power is, how behind everything there are divine commands, like source code to how all the ego code or the natural NPC code moves. It is a well designed game, and we have a role to play. More than you're here to understand life's meaning. It all depends on, how, like, who was it, Mr. Bean? Like in an interview, he was saying the more you zoom out of life, the funnier it gets. The more you're zoomed into it, you're more depressed and suffering you are. You know? Like sometimes, in a world where serious people, where people are enslaved in seriousness, sometimes the silly is liberty. Like, you don't understand. In a world that is cruel, comedy is a type of light. And what silliness was that it can always be seen differently. That is what the performing arts have been teaching us. This is why we value the live performance, because it shows us what can happen, like in real time. And so now I have to speak a little bit about the path. I couldn't fit in it, like in the whole title, but it's the path of the original one. So this is a very difficult topic to speak about. Why? Because I consider myself as a simulated being, but I consider the awareness to the simulation to be original. I consider that awareness is more the soul, where everything is found within its ability to, within its intelligent space. Pretty much, I'm saying we are living at a time where we're identifying with the idea of ourselves as owning the whole moment. The future generations, you ask them who they are, they will giggle because they'll be like, hasn't this being realized? It's a field of intelligence. How we chose to be suggested how the world chose us. And I'm telling you, I don't know. Like, if somebody tells me, what kind of future, like, where, what kind of future do you want? I'll be like, I know the quality of it. It will be advanced. That means to me, they're like, okay, you've entered the system, update the system before you leave, and now we're wondering about how to update it. And I'm that Maverick saying the most advanced. I don't care. We have to go as far as we can, so those after us can go further. Anyways, the path of the original one is the realization that all simulations return to the original state. The original state of being means that there's an original life beyond this simulated, poetically said dream. That means the religion is treating reality as a daydream, but we must awaken to the original world, to the original earth, to the original self, in the honor of the original being. Because where this might sound strange, but uh, I feel way more powerful as a being when I don't own power, when I don't define power, when you let power be free around you. You let the world not fight, because why should it break itself when it took itself a while to get? Your eyes are open now. You are part of the 7% of all the human beings that have ever existed. You are one in 117 billion humans that have ever existed. Your value is as endless as the different ways you can be seen. wonder about your real eyes, wonder about how consciousness is can be nothing else to itself other than an original. The space is original. What is moving is simulated, we think. It's an original power. The system administration is beyond the human idea. Anyways, thank you for listening. And the path of the original one is very similar. It's you as a being in an unknown world. It's like in a simulated world. Walk towards the original. Humans value originality because it reminds them they're not a looping simulated idea. And freedom is not a concept trying to be free, it's a context shift. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds, that unconditional, original power that all reality knows before it even knows itself. Existence knows its originator. You are a soul, meaning that you are closer than a character in a novel to the author. Anyways, thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced.